Thank you so much, Foss, for that wonderful run of Punisher. Thank you. Welcome, Margio. My name is Lyra. Someone know me as Adelie. I'm the Retro Gaming Idol, and welcome to another year, my second year of Retrothon. I ran this last year, but there's a lot of stuff that's changed since then, so we're gonna play a little bit more chaotically. It is nice to see you all here on Twitch and in the past, available soon on YouTube as well. Yeah, it's been a year already. Yeah, welcome to Jets of Time. The schedule says Wings of Time, but it's actually Jets of Time, so. Yeah, we're playing Chrono Sanity, which is going to be key items are shuffled into boxes. This is also tabs are in boxes as well. So we have to worry about what exactly we have for gear, because we don't have any boxes for gear anymore. Yeah. We have Chrono to start and Max. Ew, this seat is already terrible. Okay. Yeah, I hope you enjoy my suffering. Anyways, let's get this started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Thank you for the good luck, Spreven. Much appreciated. So yeah, we start off in 600. We have the ability to go through 600 and 1000 right now, and then we open up the other times from there on. Life does begin with new. Imagine being a purple doll, or like bluish purple doll though. They start off with 2 characters. We are going to have 3 to 4 probably. There might be more. We'll see how bad this gets. Alright, so first things first, I'm actually gonna go to Frog's house and I'm gonna go see who's in there. Oh, that's right, we have auto run on. So I've upped the stats on the tabs to compensate for lack of gear loss. Ew. Keep her away from me, thanks. There. Oh, I kind of want that. I'm probably gonna die for it though. Actually, no, we shouldn't take this fight. Because news are painful. So the first fight you take shouldn't be one of those, because you have a lot of monsters on screen, as well as that was a Shadow Frog. As well as things that can take you to 1 health instantly. So yeah, don't do that. So we're gonna check shops, because again, shops are our only source of gear besides raw stats. We do have free shops on to compensate for this. I'll just take 7 of everything, I guess. And one of those for Robo if we run across them. Okay, grab that. Yep. I have full confidence this is going to be some sort of chaotic move. I mean, it's tab sanity. It's you have very little to work with, and that's what the tab stat boosting is for. Yep. So since you have free shops on, you don't have to take as many notes for what you have for items. If we come across anything busted like Mega Elixirs, we'll limit ourselves to not using them all the time. Either like out of combat or like maybe like 1 or 2 in combat at most. So yeah, the first few minutes are going to be mostly information dives, because we need gear. We definitely want heals. Heals are super important. Berserkers are pretty nice. So So yeah, the first fight you take, you generally want to go either here to 600 Guardia Forest and then take the top fight. Or you can do what we're doing and actually go to 1000. Going to 1000 will let you fight the Shopkeeper, which is a Omnicron and a Hench. And this fight is scripted to crit at certain intervals, so we're gonna go ahead and just bonk this stuff for XP. The third character isn't gonna get XP, but at the same time it also boosts the speed of the next fight afterwards. Thank you, Miz, I do appreciate that. So the second hits and the fourth hits are usually crits, but Magus apparently doesn't care. But then again, we found equipment early, so yeah. Dark Saber over Flint Edge is not really an upgrade. But since we have free shops on, this shop is actually relevant. Hello, Lapis. And Mid-Aethers. Alright, so this house here is always going to have a speed tab in it. Oh yeah, like, when shopkeepers just give you all sorts of attitude, you just bonk them. Oh, also you can go up here to the pyramid and grab another check as well. Now key items are shuffled in boxes, so I do need to be checking chests like all over the place. That chest usually doesn't have anything in it, but... Here. Shields are fine. Photonics are great. We might see Milkwire later, it all depends on what key items we find. But first things first... Mayor's Manor, yeah. I'm so used to holding down the B button, and I found they had a auto run option in the settings now. I'm trying to get used to that, so... Expect me to randomly, like, slow down when I'm trying to press the button to speed up because I'm so used to doing it for the past... Oh, I don't know, almost 30 years. Wow, that is a great find early. Someone's grave always has a speed tab behind it, so we're gonna grab that too. So in the newer versions of the rando, there's actually a lot of quality of life changes that we're using here. Not having to worry about being rooted to the ground while you're grabbing tabs is really nice. Grab songs. Magus is kind of bad, but there are things that are in the game to help compensate for how awful he is as a character. This is mostly subjective opinion. There's some people that made Magus, and I envy them because I don't like to. But since we have a lot of tabs, tabs tend to favor either magic or power, so we have the ability to max out pretty much anyone, so it'll make things a lot easier on it. First item was Pendant at the Chorus. I played Chrono Cross, yes. I actually played that when I was a lot younger. That's definitely a good title. It is a very undervalued title too, because a lot of people didn't like it because they were expecting Chrono Trigger too. Yeah, early Pendant was kind of a shock, honestly. Life isn't very easy, but I mean, you're not wrong. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it. I have not bought it yet because... At the cap. I haven't bought it yet because I've been waiting for it to go on sale. And it goes on sale somewhat frequently, I've noticed. I just haven't had the extra to get it currently. But I would definitely play that in the next couple months for sure. I will always pet the cat. That's a given. So yeah, only thing here in Guardia 1000 is a tab. There's not much here besides random. Once we get the pendant charge, we can come back here for another black box later. But for now, we can't do anything else here. You'll see me walking in really specific ways to avoid encounters, just FYI. Because I know, like, on the map where everything is in terms of spawn points. It is what happens when you play this game for 30 years. Well, 28, but who's counting? Right, so we've done all that. If you want, I'm going to point this out because this is pretty early in the run, so it's somewhat relevant. Not in free shops, of course. But if you want to grab shelters for the rest of the game, just talk to this bush right here, and then exit out and come back in. We were going to come in here once anyways because there's a tab location right here. But I figured I'd point that out to you for anybody that's coming into the game that needs to save money for other stuff. Just exit out and come back in. We walked right through there because there's a spawn right there for another fight. I walked so close to the bush edge. Alright, we're plenty well geared here, so I'm not too worried about that. We're gonna save anyways. A place to rest eternally. And now we have the best monsters in the game. An army of Lamia. I probably should split their attacks because Chrono's not hitting for a max amount for full health. And then Magus just one-shotting. The Lamia have 2 attacks, they just slow you and then they claw you, and that's fine. The slow is kind of annoying, but we can deal with it because we are going to kill them a lot faster. So one of the quality of life adjustments they actually have is the ability to see enemy HP whenever, without having the sight scope accessory equipped, which is really nice. And now we're gonna find out who our third party member is. Oh, it's Vanilla. Okay. Well, we're gonna keep him because Frog is awesome. So it's gonna be Frog, and then you know what? I'm gonna rename that. That's like the one character I forgot to name when I was putting in name options. Yeah, just standard Glenn. Early demon hit is really nice. Seraph songs, when you have them equipped, will give you HP, or not HP, but MP back randomly. It's at set intervals and it gives you like 5 back, so it's really good early game. I'll also play the organ. Yeah, 12,000 BC is really good music. Like, the entire soundtrack is fantastic, though. Since we have shelters, we're just gonna go ahead and power through here, though. Because I need to focus more on chests than fights. You can catch up on XP later in the game pretty quickly. Oh yeah, definitely. So here's our first X spawn. We're gonna grab the Naga at Bromide, which I'm not gonna tell you what a Bromide is. Let's just say it's a magazine. Anyways, for this item, we're gonna exchange it after we leave this dungeon. Can you one-shot like anything, or you just pay now? Oh, even Frog can one-shot. Chrono is just generally not an amazing character. We're probably gonna swap him out a little later. Even though having access to some of those dual tech is pretty nice. Shayla's theme is amazing. That's probably one of the best things that come out of this game. Whenever I'm listening to Pandora when I'm going to bed, Chrono Trigger is often some of the first music that actually comes up in my playlist. Yeah, Chrono is garbage. I probably should give him like one power tab. Because he's not one-shotting anything, right? And we want to actually, you know, go fast. Oh, World Revolution is one of my favorite songs. I think that's one of my favorite songs in gaming, like, in general. Let's see what we got here. I'm gonna get one of these +3s. Because he's just not hitting hard enough. Oh yeah, they're all excellent. So all these stat tabs are going to be between 3 and 5 because, again, I wanted to speed up the grinding process. So we're not actually, like, here all night. You can skip that fight, but you cannot skip this one. The one that plays as the credits roll is different depending on the ending you go. Okay, one shots on crit. They might actually one shot now. Like, whenever I'm doing randomizers, I always keep a notepad available for taking notes and stuff like that, but in free shops, you don't have to worry. Actually, we're gonna save that. No, actually you shouldn't, because there is a chance you can soft lock in this room. Take that chance. Normally I would say skip that save point, but that's one of the ones you just don't skip for worries about getting rid of that particular bug. The key items can be in any of these chests, so that's why there's actually value in checking everything. There are separate flags if you want to include key items in chests that are like in harder to reach areas like Ozzy's Fort in 600, but none of those are on. We're just gonna stick to the core aspects of it. I have water too. You don't have any. It also tells you the stats of everything in the text boxes now. It's actually really nice. Back when we ran this last year, it definitely wasn't like that. Because they've made a lot of difference in the quality of life upgrades. Frog Squash doesn't do any good. So we're for sure keeping Frog. Chrono and Magus might be taken out. I forgot to play the piano. And Frog just randomly walked through the wall. Oh, he's gone. Oh. What are you doing, Frog? Apparently the AI just doesn't like Frog in this room because he's not supposed to be in your party yet in vanilla. Or is he? Smile. Oh, there he goes again. Oh, this is glorious. That kind of makes up for me forgetting to play the piano, honestly. I'll spend more of my tabs when I'm sure what my final party is. I mean, Frog does what Frog does. Considering he's got his mortal enemy in the same party as him. And our first boss is Lavo Spawn. Gross. Alright, so Lavo Spawn has 2 attack points, but you don't want to attack the shell, just only attack the base. Which Thankfully spin cut does. But spin cut missed. So... Destruction zone is non-elemental. Chrono's hit rate is garbage. Nope, they are definitely not friends. I mean, you and I are friends as well as everybody in chat and everybody watching this VOD and everything later on, but no, Frog and Magus are not friends. It is a temporary alliance, as it were. Ignore the last one, so it's just an extra tech. Because nobody cares about that guy. I mean, that's not entirely wrong. You're given a free warp over to the castle, so we're actually going to take advantage of that. And do some item checks. So yeah, if we were to just leave the tabs as is, it would be quite a bit more challenging because you have to worry about your lack of gear here due to the way the flags are. I feel it's a fair balance since we're going to be so limited as to what we have, where we don't have to spend like an extra hour worth of grinding or anything. One thing we have to grind for now is ability points. Okay, you're definitely staying. Now, who are you going? Actually, you're staying. Lily, best girl. Because Lily is not gear dependent for her weapon, she is infinitely more valuable and she's going to remain in our final party. I have no use for Chrono. Like, normally in most seeds, you're going to want to take as few characters as possible. I'm going to take 5. If I end up with the Masamune and going through either the Magus Castle or Black Omen routes, I'll go ahead and take Luke, otherwise I don't. But we actually want to go ahead and spend these power tabs on her. We ran out. Oh. Yeah, we are 100% keeping Frog. Hey, talk to that guard right there. That triggers the flag for this next cutscene. You can use the kitchen for getting food up until the point where you actually talk to that particular captain, and then it just locks the food out. But since we're just chilling for a little bit... Oh wait, the guards are all gone. I was gonna feed the guard, but the guard's no longer there. Unfortunate. You can walk away from the conversation as long as you just mash through it. And once you hear that line, you can go back upstairs. Yep, no food for them. I guess they're all out on the front lines. That's... I'm not going to mark that off on my tracker just now, just in case this boss is nasty for some reason. A bent sword, 1/2 of the Mazamine, you don't need the Dreamstone in order to actually, like, bring it back to life, as it were. The Dreamstone is used as a key item to access the prehistoric Chrono layer instead, which is one of the go modes. Every key item you get is going to be valuable regardless of what it is. These are vanilla fights for the first two. The boss is going to be randomized though. Just bonk Ozzy 3 times and everything despawns. Or twice even. We got the question mark sword? That's a lot of jumbled letters all of a sudden. Normally it's 3 hits in vanilla though. You can also one-shot them with any sort of magic, but physicals don't do that much. There we go, that's the thing that I was mentioning. Hyper Aether is pretty nice. Yeah, Lily is really good. And she doesn't need a weapon either, so very, very nice. I had to run Magus in the seed from the Random Mondays with Weapon last week, and I don't like Magus. He has triple kick really well. Pretty unnecessary overkill, but I guess we can use it. I want to see how much damage she's doing already. In it to win it. It's about 1560. Okay. Not too bad. She's not fully capped out yet, but she will be soon. Okay, so we actually are going to keep the bent sword. From here, we can go ahead and head over to this residence right here. You talk to the old man, try to check the chest, and get... What? The heck was that? Okay, so you just talk to the old man and trade the bromide that you got back from the cathedral. Yeah, I think that's going to be historical reference for bug testing. And you get one of each tab, which is really useful. Yeah, that was pretty odd. Alright, so because this is tab sanity, this check is actually worth making. Here's Canyon. It had a conversation attached to it too for some weird reason. Alright, so Slash is someone that's actually immune to water damage, so Frog, like Sword Stream for Chrono and Frog, don't really do any damage to them. Just something to keep in mind if you're running the party that I normally run, which is Ayla, Marley, Frog. Team Ice Water is really, really powerful for trash clearing. So nothing interesting there. I want to go climb to Nodro. There's a lot of checks up here, and there's also a boss as well. This spot right here is actually one of the best early game TP farms if you need ability points for stuff. Like, Magus isn't getting anything good early, in my opinion, so concerned about keeping him. That's a spicy crit. The Ogans are just like goblins, except that they have a hammer on them that nerfs a lot of the damage. You can use fire to actually take it out, but that's assuming we have a character that actually casts fire one of these days. Okay. That okay. So this is why the tab sanity is actually a thing. I just made this seed tonight too. I had no prior knowledge of that. Yes. I just got the other piece of it. Which again, you don't need the drainstone to actually compile it. So now we got a chance to drink some water. Stay hydrated, everybody. Because we have Frog in our party and because we now have the Masamune, we do have go mode already at 30 minutes in. But we still need levels, we still need a bunch of other stuff. We're just gonna chill for a bit. I didn't check this earlier, but we're gonna check this now. Snail Stop for 9900 gold will actually give you a item of some sort. But I don't want a silver earring, so bye. Without key sanity, or I call it key sanity because Zelda, but without tab sanity on, that can actually be a key item that's really important, but alright, so hey, new fight. Now we actually want it. And I'm going to bonk the new. Because news can actually set up kills because of all the trash mobs here. News have about 1250 HP, but Lily, yeah. Lily smash. I think we also found a Frenzy Band as well, which is really nice. Frenzy Bands, if I remember right, in the vanilla it was 80% crit rate, or counter rate, whenever you equip them. But I believe I saw recently that it was changed to 90% in the rando, so really good item gets even better. Hey you. Take those. Alright, so now we get rid of Magos. I don't usually care for Luca, but I will take power over the red mage aspects of Magus any day. There's a reason why she's called Fire, and we'll potentially find out that reason soon. I have not found a single helmet. She doesn't need to sidescope anymore because we have that ability equipped. I should just... MP, I guess. But yeah, early new for 35, I believe it was, for tech points. Very, very nice. Totally recommend it. We're not gonna take that fight. There's other sources we can do while we're checking progression and gearing up that we can just use in place of that XP and tech point. Like, we don't even need this fight, for example. That one's a force encounter, but I usually just run from it. This is a really nice song. We're gonna let him go. We're gonna have to take a couple extra encounters up there, but we get to check chests instead. And because this is tab sanity, we need to check every chest anyways, so... Actually, technically not. But don't you feel nice actually looting anyways? We have a lot of time to fill now because we hit go mode so early anyways. Now, if you remember last year's Retrothon, when I actually ran this, spoiler for those that haven't watched it, which you totally should go do that. I hit go mode early on that one too, but not this early. I mean, I have other time fillers in case we have to end this for some reason. That's actually more time than I thought I would have had though. Basically, let me know when you want to get rid of me. Alright, so if you press A while you're getting rocks tossed at you, you get a rock tossed at you. And you actually keep it. Rocks will enable triple techniques for certain party slots. Okie dokie. So whatever you do, do not run to the left here, otherwise you have to take 4 forced fights, and it's really, really slow, and you lose like 2 minutes per each time you do it, so yeah, don't do that. Just walk to the right there, instead of walking to the left. You have about a 50-50 chance of getting this encounter right here when you're wandering around it. Usually it's right when you exit the ramp, but for some reason it aggroed elsewhere. I should probably take a few fights on Luca because I don't think she has any text. Oh, never mind. Okay. Ignore that. I fell down the wrong waterfall. Okay, that's like 30 seconds. What? Hello? Excuse me? I'm stuck. Oh, thank God. I thought I was gonna have to reset. What was that? Goodness gracious. I wanted to check the chest on the left-hand side, which I'm going to go do, but let's hope that doesn't happen again. I think we've found, like, the most blessed cursed seed ever. Anyways, go down the left waterfall. There is a silver stud, I believe, in vanilla, which is one of the most powerful accessories for longevity. That's actually a really good chest to check. That's what we were supposed to do when we were coming down this waterfall first. Yeah, this is pretty cursed and blurs. You're all correct. This is a randomizer in a video game. Okay, we didn't get the fight again that time, that's good. Now this one likes to actually be... But it didn't. If you wander up through right there, there's another encounter which I accidentally just triggered by going back into it. Come on. That you can't run away from. Man. I kind of need the XP anyways. So I'm not too worried about that. Mountains are nice. This is the life. Mountains are nice. Man, you're nosy. Here, take those. Yeah, her room is on the second floor. Because the first floor is only the kitchen and the living room, really. So I have a feeling this is going to be our final party, honestly. And she's already capped. Luca doesn't need it. I guess we keep her. Not my first choice, but she's pretty good. Oh wow, she's actually not capped. The cap for speed is 16, by the way. Good. If you go too fast on that ladder, he'll push you back down and force you into 2 fights. So you just had to kind of like nudge yourself upwards there. Almost like red light, green light. So Mazza immune vanilla, but the combined boss is random. If you attack the left, which is Mazza, you're gonna get counterattacked, but if you if you hit right, which is immune, you're gonna get hit with sleep, so don't do it. Actually, it's not sleep, it's confusion, sorry. Just take the regular attacks. I mean, we've already had lava spawn, so it's not gonna turn into big lava, at least. The white vest is decent. So vests and mails of different colors will give you elemental absorption, which will heal the damage you would have taken otherwise. The vests are the weaker ones, but... Oh, hello, easy boss. So we found Rust Tyranno here. Rust Tyranno is actually notoriously simple, especially since we have a frenzy ban on our wonderful lady of prehistoric nature. The Spekios, the later ones, are kind of annoying because you can only use magic on them. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. But yeah, easy counters, easy damage. It's the final boss of the area, we can go all out. So normally when you don't have those kind of level of like dual attacks, you can literally just like counter it to death. Because Rust Tyranno isn't like Black Tyranno, where it has a phase where it needs to lower its defense before you attack it. You just go all out on Rust. Alright, so here's maybe our next key item. Not for sure. What do we got? Really long cutscene. Because it normally talks to you a little bit. Demon hat. I already have one of those. Alright, so we didn't get anything special out of there, except for a lot of weird shenanigans. Yeah, demon hit. We already had one anyways, though, so... Having redundant weapons, especially in free item shops, means absolutely nothing. We're just gonna start a collection of them, apparently. For needy adventurers. We're gonna do Sunken Desert for the tech points associated with it, and the XP. Because there's a lot of fights in here that are worth a pretty strong amount of tech points. Wasn't that from Shenmue, I think? Oh wow. Yeah, I remember, like, I remember because of X-Play though, if anyone ever watched that show. That's the only way I knew about Shenmue, was actually from that. I mean, they tried to come back, like, a few years ago, and it lasted even less than the original went, sadly. Which was a real big disappointment, because they tried to bring back X-Play, and I was, like, really hype, and then it's just like, no, it's gone again. Like, darn. I don't feel that way, necessarily. I think it could have actually had a chance. It just would have had to have, endured the competition a bit. Grumpy Handsome. I miss Morgan Webb too. She was awesome. Yeah, they died off in what, the early or the late 2000s, somewhere around there originally. I'm happy she's actually found work that's good for her. I do miss her shenanigans. And all the X-Play game reviews that were actually just really cheesy real-life cutscenes. Like where Adam Sessler actually went to the San Francisco Bay and went to the pier and started talking to a fish randomly. Like, that's the kind of stuff that was literally like the best TV ever. And that's the kind of stuff that needed to be brought back, not all this modern stuff. Oh no, that's unfortunate. That was definitely a show. Like, that was probably like one of the edgiest, like, on the border of what's actually safe for work. Great series, it wasn't something that necessarily belonged on G4. Alright, so this is the last encounter that's actually in this dungeon. Yeah, let's get rid of these tonics. Oh yeah, X-Play was definitely something that influenced my childhood as well. For better, definitely, not for worse. Oh, hi, something we don't really have the ability to damage. Neat. I'm gonna do it with this. So Nizbel is a character that is actually kind of annoying. It's resistant to physical damage, so Lily's just going to be boosting mana basically. But when you have attacks like that, then it's less problematic. Yeah, it's gonna die from that. It's funny how we learned Flare really early. I have the balanced hex on, which is something that will actually keep the original spell pools, just shuffle them. So we rolled a pretty hot Luca early, honestly. And now we have Blaze Kick access, so yeah, that's a thing. Blaze Kick is going to do a lot of damage to single target bosses. I'm getting a lot of good stuff early. Like, this seed is completely blessed, minus the weird graphical glitches and stuff. On your way out, you can check the left-hand side for an extra 10. And that's all you have left to do here. Okay, so... we have our pendant from earlier, so we can actually go and get that started. I should. The glitches are a feature. I don't think you're inaccurate. I'm still not used to the auto run button, sorry. Like, me getting blessed seeds during marathons to where I'm hitting go mode really early seems to be more of a feature and not a bug, because this is the third time I've rolled a jet seed for a marathon. Last year for Retrothon, this year for Retrothon, and also for another marathon. That was last May as well. Okay, so we want to go to... we want to stay in the present for one thing. Talk to this guy. And he says we stole the pendant, so, you know, we kind of found it in a box. That's not really our fault. So Lily gets hauled off to jail for no reason. It'll take whoever's in your first party slot and haul them off to jail. It doesn't necessarily have to be Ayla or anything. So you can manipulate who you want to go in there. You would think a sword to the back would actually hurt. So you can either A, wait like 2-3 minutes, or you can just knock on the door 3 times. Your choice. You will get a different cutscene in vanilla if you choose to wait it out though, but you also miss out on everything in this dungeon for checks. Why would you do that? Just choose violence. Yeah, there is definitely tripping ASMR. Did they drop anything good? Ah, mid-ethers. Okay, we don't have to fight them. Sometimes guards will drop really nice stuff because items are shuffled. But not today. So we can skip every fight. You can fight the shields too if you really want to, but I don't. Unless I absolutely have to. It's not exactly pixel perfect to avoid them, but still it's pretty like precise. You know, it's almost as if, you know, she doesn't have it still. So doing this sequence will actually give me access to the future, which is going to open up a bunch more shops, which I kind of need pretty bad right now. I have no helmets. If you leave this text box up right here, you can sneak right past him, so that way you don't have to worry about him crowding the stairway when you're trying to leave. It doesn't affect anything, it just saves you time. Alright, so... Okay, we're good. That way doesn't lead to anything on this floor. Yeah, it's not exactly pixel perfect, but it's super narrow. Especially with trying to have auto run on, that's actually kind of throwing me off a bit too. It does seem like it is, you are correct. It is that precise. It's just not that precise. I didn't get mid tonics for doing that, but doesn't really matter, honestly. You're just avoiding fights. Yeah. Apparently, like, Earthbound auto run is actually something that does affect going, like, behind things. Bonky Kong Country, that was earlier in the day. That was actually a really solid run, too. I enjoyed DKC, too. So Fritz is going to help us out later. And in order to access the shop, you don't need anybody, but if you want the items from Fritz, which is 10 mid-ethers, you need Chrono. I've actually never finished DKC 3, only first two, and then DK Land 2. Those are my extent of my Donkey Kongs. This one doesn't have anything in it, but he's not doing well. Yeah, he's perfectly fine. I mean, yeah. So you wander out the window right here. Oh, it's a window now. Climb down the walls. Get access to a chest there. That guy's fine too. Look at him. He's just chilling. Like, it's as if they don't feed people in here for some reason. But we had a cup of water, I guess, that gave all our MP back. Drug. I mean, yeah, they're fine. We talked to that one. He was just falling all to pieces. I guess he was just really bored, right? Builds character. My father always used to say that. Yeah, the extra 10% crit rate, or I keep calling it crit, but counter chance is really nice on frenzies. It's probably still 50% on rage bands, which is a weaker version, though. You're not wrong, Niz. Alright, so now you get your party back. Also, you can talk to the captain you just bought. And get some extra mid tonics. It's really helpful in vanilla, not so much in random, but you take free heal items, right? What? Oh, it's Giga. That looks really awkward. So Giga is the boss of Mount Woe normally, but last shuffle. That is definitely not the that's not the tank we're looking for. Okay. Flasher. Aeon Suit's pretty decent drop. I mean, it looks like a turtle tank, actually. Nobody ever checks that chest. That chest needs love. But for completing the prison sequence, you get access to 2300. And also that chest right there. Which we had to come back through the portal for, but it's fine because our pendant now works. And for some reason the tracker isn't accepting the fact that I actually have that item, so... Oh, it's because I don't have Marley, but that's actually different. I'm gonna mark that real quick so it lets me. I don't actually have her, but... fine. Tracker gonna be tracker, apparently. Here we go. Maybe my tracker is acting funny. Like, literally pressing the button for a dragon tank opened up way more checks than it should have. Thank goodness I've been running this long enough to where I know what some of these are just falls. Yes, I call this money. Black vests are nice. White vests are good. Red mails are great. Red mails are going to be really solid for a long time. It's endgame level gear. So we're going to equip those right now, actually, if we don't forget. For some reason, we still haven't found any helmets, though. That's still problematic. Ready for memes? 3, 2, 1, here you go. Hope you like memes, because that was totally one of the most overused ones. Alright, so welcome to Lab 16. This is actually kind of a annoying place to get through in vanilla. Rats will totally try to jack all your healing items and stuff out of your inventory, so don't touch them. There's also a couple of encounters that are pretty easy to accidentally hit, too. So we're gonna do our best to avoid those. Okay. That one should have stole something from me, but it didn't. It's not. I thought there was a chest there. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Or it could have been removed as well. That's also a thing. That is not nice. Oh, well, I guess Rat has to feed his family or something. Not like money means anything to us in these flags. Yeah, the tracker only says 4 chests. So I guess they did remove one. More memes. I want a helmet. Like, literally anything will do, too. Rando skips the conversations that are there. And we head into the basement. Heading towards the food storage, which... This looks like something out of an F-Zero game, honestly. Or maybe like a Super Metroid background or something. Another one? I guess there was 2. We're gonna fight another one. Fortunately, we have this now. Oh my. Yeah, Blaze Kick is really good. I don't think her magic's maxed out yet either. We can make that a lot worse. Was there one? Might have just been in that last chest though. Okay, so we have one helmet to share with everybody. So yeah, whatever you do, do not menu in that room where you fought the boss, or you're gonna end up finding another random encounter as well. Whether you're going in or out of it. Here. I didn't get the early catch. You must catch those things. You actually have to get that conversation. That's a flag trigger. Otherwise you can't do it even if you've read the note or anything. Bring around the robot. Oh my god, we got a bug encounter. That's so unfortunate. These things are junk for XP and tech points. Just ignore them. Oh, the boss dropped it. Thank you. I thought it was in the chest. Touched that one on accident. Unfortunate. It's my Xbox and her name is Sony. I don't know if anyone remembers that clip. Back when Family Guy was actually good. Those days are long behind us though. There's only so much you can do with a show that lasts 20 plus seasons. Like, Simpsons went over the hill a long time ago too, but Family Guy definitely went there as well. Oh, it was a VHS player? I thought it was an Xbox. Or maybe they just called it that. So you get your change of music from talking to the PC and going through an extended cutscene, which the randomizer completely got rid of for speed's sake. It's actually a really long discussion right there, too. So that'll trigger the item that you get from this person up here. Bug skip, successful. Not rat skip, though. This will get you another check right here. Hero medal. Oh, that's a check. I remember the line. I wasn't gonna say that though. I'll leave that to you. Alright, so it gives us a check in 600 to do, but it doesn't do much more than that. So back in Frog's house, there was a second chest on the left there, which is something that we are going to go ahead and grab right now. Aeon Blade is for Chrono, if I remember right, so that's... I'm not putting Chrono back in this party. His accuracy is poo-poo. There is one... Oh, that's sorry. Okay. I know, it's as if like a character that casts life and with magic tabs can actually do solid AoE damage is, you know, has to be nerfed. He's actually fast too without any sort of boost, but that's what it is, I guess. Might as well just clear this out. You know what? I like doing this spell. This ability does not get enough play in vanilla at all. Iron Bomb is really good. It feels like they extended the radius on it, rando, slightly as well. Dude. Hello? There you go. Okay, it's Beth Girl. The sad part is I'm kind of invested in this party already. I love using Cube Toss and Ice Toss, but this is actually a solid enough party as it is. So Jello Blobs are weak to lightning and not much else. So my go mode currently is Magus Castle. We could potentially find Dreamstone for Tyranno Lair, but we need Gatekeep for that too. You can go through a long sequence of fights to get to where we're going now, or you can take this shortcut. These robots come in two patterns, the really long pattern here that you can't do anything with, and then the short pattern we're going to move on to next. You won't have enough time to run through the conveyor belt with the long pattern on either run through. You'll get thrown into the fights that we just avoided anyways. which are forced fights, so they do take a while. Plus this one actually gets to an item chat. See what I mean though? Like, you can try to run through it and you just get blocked. Try not to touch them or you'll get forced off as well. Maybe Bug Room? No. Bug Room is really weird for getting through without triggering that encounter. But again, not worth taking them. Talk to this computer here. Get your passcode for the crane. If you touch those, you're gonna get into that encounter. So good news is, if you're in need of some sort of fast bathroom break or anything like that, or growing up and stretching and getting some water, this is actually a really good spot for it, especially with the second code. It's almost a mini cutscene, so if you have the restroom, then it's a good time too. Yeah, really good spot to get a drink of water. So in this room, you're going to get the master code for the rest of the dump. I'm used to being and typing the prompt in, whichever that is. That's the wrong one for it. Okay, so we're in our low 20s right now. I want to be like about 30 to 35 before I finish the game. Counterattacks for the win. Like, Alien with a Frenzy Band, or really any physical attacker, is really, really good for like the majority of the game. Fighting that encounter will turn on the computer, which is required. Right across the bottom of that, you get into encounters as well. Same for that particular walking through as well. She is really, really strong. She's also your source of steel too, which is really nice for certain bosses in vanilla. I don't generally do it in rando, but you want to get rid of the green ones first, otherwise they do that crap. And now they're just kind of chilling. Joke's on you, we have red mail. In the words of Ralph Wiggum, tastes like burning. And then the most meme of all time, I'm in danger. That'll be your next ladder, which we're on the bottom floor now. If you remember that Cody went to the other side for, use it here. By the way, for that chest right there, if you're not doing Tab Sanity, that's usually a pretty good item. And it's something you're gonna check right there anyway, so why not? It skips the cutscene if you don't have Robo. I thought Ayla was just gonna, like, Iron Woman it. All the encounters are off, by the way, so you can just run through that normally. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. What am I gonna do with you? I know what I'm gonna do with you. Bonk. Yeah, that was a maxed out Blaze Kick. It's not technically maxed out because of gear. We haven't found any sun or prism shades or anything like that, but you get the idea. Hi, best girl. Also, I forgot to actually save right there. That's a potential soft lock room right here. You have to be very careful with trying to get here. So I've had friends soft locking. That'll give us end of time access and also access to Mount Woe because we can go through the portal of 12,000. We have unlocked magic on, so we don't have to worry about doing the Spekios. Gonna go back and get our ship. Okay, you can teleport here. But you shouldn't have Skyway access if I remember right. Or if you do, you don't have access to Zealdor. Okay, never mind, you don't. While we're back here though, we can shop check at least. Mount Woe is a lot of item checks, but fortunately we don't have to do that right now because of our lock. Oh, finally, helmets. White mills are okay. I wonder why I did it. We have decent gear now. It's gonna be a little bit rough versus Lavos, but I think we'll be okay. We just need levels for sure though. Which Mount Woe isn't a terrible place for levels, and it's certainly a good spot for getting tech points. But honestly, we could probably just go Blaze Kick and completely ruin the rest of the seed with it. Alright, so you need Frog in your party to actually do this cutscene. Because it's just like vanilla. You're going to slay him, yet he's in the party anyways. Oh, sorry, volume warning. Headphone users are up. Always forget about that one. I mean, easy mountain slice, right? We didn't go check on Fritz for that shop. So I'm gonna do that real fast, just in case we can find better gear out of it. The last time we're gonna have Chrono party. Hope these don't go missing from your inventory. It's unfortunate, it's a bad shop. Well. So in Wings of Time, even I'm messing it up now. In Jets of Time there are 3 go modes. This is one of the longer ones. The fastest one is Tyranno Layer, this is the second longest, and then Black Omen takes forever. I don't know why I'm hoping for more speed tabs, I'm pretty much done. Everyone likes loot, right? Let's do nothing right now until you do the first cutscene. Same with the rest of these. Get the stuff. We have plenty of time. Might as well get the stuff that's in the way. It's just like that one song, right? Something's in the way. Hey, it's Ozzy again. So welcome to Trash Cleared Palace, basically. The good news is, well... Oh, that's the thing. I'm actually gonna go this way first. So the good news is we can skip about half of these fights in this dungeon, the other half runs. I'm gonna get this out of the way first, because mana. We'll do you first. Whoever gets the first hit is gonna get all their mana stolen. In vanilla, you're gonna get Flea 1 here, but who knows what we're getting right here. Oh. That is a very manly flea. Flash 2. Okay. You know what? I never do this. Might as well. Yes, I want your treasure. How much we're doing here? 1200's not bad for trash clear. I never check that chest because of the fight associated with it, but yeah, plenty of times. Evil talk. Relieve us of this misery, gladly. Let's do it with explosions. Red Pin is good if you're low on mana in normal rando runs. Okay, they just swapped rooms. That's vanilla, I guess. Oh wow, she actually lived? Plays KO. It's like the RKO out of nowhere, right? Actually, I gotta save. Actually, no, I just saved. No. Yeah, literally half the monsters in this climb are runnable. And they're all really junk amounts of XP and tech points, so... Hi, Ozzy. If you get bonked by these things, they'll take a pretty solid chunk amount of health, but it won't kill you, it'll just deal a lot of percentile. The roly-polies will trigger random encounters here. I don't want any. Second floor is more annoying, but... Darn. I almost had it. It's a very specific walking path. And that's always the one I get stuck on, so... Nothing out of the ordinary, I guess. Those save points look a lot different than normal. So with this room here, the save points, there's 4 in total. 2 are fake, which turned into those fights. The one directly opposite of wherever you're at, so if you're on the top here, it's going to be on the bottom, will be the second of those. The other ones will either be a teleporter out of here or an actual save point. Okay, you found the portal. It's completely random. Please don't. Please. Okay, just one. You can go down there as much as you want and fight more of them, but... Why would you? Explosions. I mean, he kind of looks like one. He looks like he's from Namek, actually. Except fat. Very, very fat. To be fair, King Guru was pretty plump. Or was he a lord? I mean, that's all the newfangled kid technology, right? Darn, I got the Rolly Bomber in it. Yep. Okay, water too. Yeah, 9,548 damage. Because they're really weak to ice and water. Just casual 9,500 damage. You can't skip these, by the way. These are completely unavoidable. Okay. They're in the end of fire, that's cute. Normally I would have ice water, and ice water is something that kills literally everything in this dungeon. Jugglers are rather annoying. If you hit them with a magic attack first, they'll get magic resistance, and then they'll be weak to physical, vice versa. Let's see if they one-shot the jugglers, though. Oh, they certainly do. $3,400 is really solid to those things, though. Normally you don't one-shot them. Just playing with switches, apparently. What kind of cake? Alright, so this is a bunch more encounters, but you can skip like them. If you run up the red carpet, you're just gonna run into all of them. So yeah, room skipped. It tries to start a fight right there, but you're faster. As long as you don't stop to read the description. Glowhelms are very phosphorescent. Ethers are nice. I like 60 MP, which is going to be really nice for the last fight. Just block the switches, because any attacks on him will just do nothing. He'll be fine, don't worry. I don't remember hearing that line before. That's funny. Yozo Dance is all female, so we're gonna use that. And honestly, she can just leave that on because she has nothing better. We didn't find much in the way of accessories this seed. Like only one Frenzy Band, for example. But there are still a couple more shops left to check in front of us, so... Oh, hi, Evil Twin. What is that? Like Wolverine's claws or something? I know she has a hammer and stuff like that. That doesn't look healthy. She has a hammer and stuff, but 13. Oh, just what I was looking for too. So this character changes immunities randomly between the elements up until a certain amount of HP damage. But she's cycled to fire weakness. Rock Flare! Spicy. Hey, that was painful. See, the bad news is we haven't run across heal yet on front. We can do Slurp Kiss though, and that's actually a full heal. Okay, that's not as good. When you see risk casting a spell, that means you can just attack with whatever and not have to worry about anything. $3,500. It's actually doing less. Actually, just gonna Frog Flare again. Dark Sword is for Chrono. When you get that particular prompt, it actually opens up the power that was sealing the teleporters in 12,000. So 2 more shops in the game without opening up 65 million. One here at Anhaza. Open the books, water, wind, and fire. Almost like earth, wind, and fire. That percent. And now we get this glitch that's been in the game for a long time, so yeah, enjoy. Silver studs are nice. Yum. Yeah, this has been in the randomizer as long as I've known it, so it's not a bad glitch, it's just funny. So here's the Shadow Clone Jutsu fight for Destiny. And for doing that to a bunch of innocent news, you get 90 tech points, which is massive. You can also steal from all of them too. The longer you stay in that fight, though, the more likely they are to eventually kill you. They have an attack that shaves your life down to 1. And depending on whether they actually hit you again with it before you heal, it can kill you, but the odds of it killing you aren't 100%. Like, it's actually fairly low that they do deal the extra 1 damage to kill you. But it has happened before. But you still have plenty of time to steal from that. So pretty much the final town in this run is Kajar. Water. Wind is all the way down here. And fire will open up this bookcase. No new fight this time, but you get one of the different colored rocks that are in the game for triple attacks. It's randomized. So something I didn't learn until later on is this new right here will sell to you, but the inventory varies depending on what side of the thing you actually talk to them on. The lapises being there is really good. They're some of the best healing items in the game for AoE and parties that don't necessarily have a lot of AoE magic. Hello, Hyper Ether. We're not going to use all those, we're probably not going to. Actually, I don't even need that. Tapped out. The amulets are real nice. They're generally a fixed item here. Oh dear, Prism Helms. This is why you check both sides of new. Prism Helms pretty much block everything in the game in terms of statuses. So. In vanilla, you have to do a bunch of stuff to get 3 of them. Accident. But you can play this game in New Game Plus mode, which lets you actually get all 7 or 9 of them if you want. You can also steal them off certain bosses. Same with Prism Dresses. It's pretty much a ribbon helm, yeah. That means we free up our accessory slot for basically nothing. Because that was our only weakness, is we didn't really find much in the way. Items for that. We can, however, use these silver stuff that we actually have. Silver studs will half your MP costs in combat, so donuts. See memes. Okay, since we're really ahead of time right now, I'm gonna go meme this real quick. Yeah, it's basically the economy. This is not gonna take that much longer though. I'm gonna go back down to Kajar again. Now that we've discovered the new scratching point. This is not something you would ever do in a race unless you were just complete memeing. But like a minute time loss. Talk to this new right here. Scratches back. And you get a magic tab. You can do it again, but nothing happened. And he just scratches back. Yeah, because he was actually like stealing it and trying to eat it. But he just kind of gives it to you. Like, I don't ask questions. That's what you do with the scratching point. That's one of the things you can only do on the first trip to Zeal in 12,000 in vanilla. You cannot do it the second time. Actually, you might be able to, but you cannot do this part right here the second time. You can choose to save the forest or destroy that, but that makes a choice for the second trick. Yeah, he's kind of a little trickster. Oh, hi, robot. You're my friend. Good. Yeah, Trebos isn't a bad robot. She was just misguided by Mother Brain. The vanilla fight is actually rather sad in comparison to random fights like that. Actually, we'll equip that for bosses. Because they changed it to be something else in rando, and I wasn't sure exactly what it... I never equip it normally. Look up here, touch this. You can run from this fight. There are specifically 3 fights in the entirety of Ocean Palace you cannot run away from, and those are the ones in the elevator. Actually, I believe it's 4, because the elevator counts. The one on the floor as touch that to activate the bridge to go to the next area. But why not just go loot more? This one does the same thing as the other side, but this side will also give you access to an extra chest that you couldn't have gotten from the other side. Yeah, this is Lavos Beckons, if I remember right. The scout enemies are the most annoying things in the game. We don't have any lightning damage in this party, so they're even more annoying than that. Apparently the game just didn't want to give us any key items inside anything this late, which is not necessarily a bad thing. As far as that chest goes, you can actually access it from the other side without triggering that encounter. You'll be able to from this side as well. It's just slower doing it this way, because you don't have to go to this side if you go to the other side first, which is faster. And you also pop this encounter too. So yeah, going to the left is actually a lot slower, but you do get that extra check to actually potentially get an item with. Alright, ignore this. So if you have any tech grinding to do, which is actually what we're going to do, this is the spot for it. Fire 2 is probably... That's definitely enough. So this is your grind spot for the rest of the game. And they drop speed tab, that's actually funny. This would be a really good grind spot in vanilla when you're not playing around with tab adjustments. Yeah, this is the grind spot in the game. When you're in go mode everywhere except for Black Omen, this is your best spot to get all your attacks. They have about... Oh, we can check their HP real quick, actually. Also 3,400 gold, too, which is kind of irrelevant, but just in case you need to go back and buy stuff, that's a thing. I'm also getting some levels here, too, which I actually need for the final fight. So, mages have 750, thrashers 500, so... Where are we at for skills here? We need about 8 more. It does a bunch, plus it doesn't take a lot of your MP, so you don't have to heal as much. Otherwise you'd have to use like flare or like line bomb or something. Fire Whirl is really nice. That is a very good trash clearing skill. I miss the old Disney afternoon days. Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, Tiny Toon Adventures, Animaniacs, all that fun. Weekday afternoons were literally some of the best TV in our lives, honestly, back then. Plus you had, like, Super Mario Brothers Super Show, The Legend of Zelda cartoons, like, it didn't matter whether it was only 13 episodes, it was still just an absolute blast. I mean, I definitely donated either. Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webby. Eek the Cat. That was a Fox show though. But no, Fox Kids had some decent stuff back then too. Back before all the, you know, all the modern stuff. Like back then it was innocent as all the heck though. I was actually wanting to watch that, but I'm not willing to pay for Netflix just to watch it. Yeah, it's Walter Jones and David Yost, that's who it is. We need 3 more. And we're about up level to where we can survive the last encounters too. That's actually something I didn't really, like, notice either back then. like us 80s kids are definitely starting to get older, but we're also starting to just remember, like, hey, we actually had like some of the best gaming years of our lives here. And that's something we have to share with everyone else. We can't just keep it all to ourselves. And that's why we're here. This wonderful, wonderful Retrothon in 2023. And if you think this run was actually really wild, there's going to be so much more ahead of me for the next almost week. I've got 2 more runs so far. But there's so many talented runners that have all come together just because we all love games. I never really played Secret of Mana growing up. Hello, Rand. Pretty cool. I'm gonna do like 2 more, I think. That's unfortunate. Like, you don't like seeing one-hit wonders like that. You always want them to go on and do like other soundtracks too, and just really show off their compositional skills. Like Uematsu is a legend, but there's like so many other talented ones we don't talk about as much. Now, if you want my personal opinion, FF11 soundtrack is one of the best of all time. And that one had a couple of different composers that weren't Uematsu. I'm just kind of blanking on the names right now, but definitely go look that soundtrack up. It's... Everyone's like, FF11 isn't as good, it's not a real FF, stuff like that. It's like, no, it's a magical experience that's lasted over 20 plus years now. The servers are still going for retail. Like, Square hasn't abandoned it because they said they won't abandon it as long as people want it. And the soundtrack is still as magical as it always was. Yeah, it just had its 20th anniversary, I believe, last year. It came out in 2002 in Japan. I do kind of need to give her a little bit of MP to get through the rest of this floor. I'll take the rest of this XP too. Oh yeah, there's always like random jobs that people didn't expect to pull on, like Bard, but they just kind of did anyways. Trials in there. I've never heard of the other one though. I mean, fishing was another term for mobs as well. And like in 11 you had to use like auto-translate because of depending on the server you're on, there's usually a lot of Japanese players and they didn't always understand English, so Square Enix offered auto-translate, which worked out pretty well, but it also came up with really funny stuff like eat dishes, and Death Ball was another one that came up from the auto-translate as well. That was really funny. You were definitely on a server that was probably like primarily Japanese, like Phoenix or Odin. Which is not as many servers as there used to be, but they're still there. Like Asura for North America players or Odin for Japanese speakers. Like, so good. They're still developing content monthly for it too, which is also really impressive for a game model. It's we're about 36, 37, so we're actually ready to go do this. So scouters are annoying as all heck. what these things do is, if you hit them with an element that isn't the element they are, they will counterattack with different junk. That's why you're gonna see me use single targets for like the rest of this particular area. There's been a lot of like gacha shutdowns in the past couple of years too that have been pretty sad. Like a lot of old classic ones are gone or are leaving soon. But try to kill the yellow ones first. You can use physicals if you don't have lightning in your party for attack magic. They have about 200 HP. And thankfully, because we have access to prism homes, that didn't affect us at all. So that's the reason why I didn't use AoE magic there at all. So these are the 3 fights I was telling you about that are completely unskippable because you're on an elevator. Where the heck are you gonna go? I mean, I play Turtles in Time too. Like, I know we have a run of that coming up in the future, I believe, as well for this marathon. Which I actually have a submission. It's one of my backup runs for hard mode. The yellow one, so I'm gonna get rid of that first. Hard mode is just not as marathon safe because Slash is a jerk. SNES. I actually PB'd at SoccerCon this year in Seattle as well. I got a sub 30 IGT and it was really, really nice. Doing it on CRT was even better. I posted that in Discord. Oh yeah, like Flash is like the worst unfair boss of like any beat 'em up game ever, I feel. Yeah, this is technically the slowest encounter in the game because you have to single target everything. Otherwise you just get AoE counters. Not that getting encounters or getting counters for fire damage isn't a bad thing because we have red mails on. But their physical attacks are not elemental. Or maybe we just unequip the red mails after you win, to be honest. I wasn't sure whether we were running SNES or arcade version for the other submission. I saw it in the schedule, but I didn't see what version. You can skip these. They feel very different. Just like TMNT 2, the arcade game on NES, feels way different compared to the JP version as well. I'm just gonna do that because I'm gonna have to run it anyways. I kinda like the run I have coming up on Tuesday for Kirby Superstar. The category I run, which is a self-created one called All Main Games, It's different than any percent if you go to the SRL leaderboards, because the SRL leaderboards only require 4 games in order to be finished. But all the times that you're going to see on those leaderboards are between those who run any percent and those who run AMG, and it's all a giant cluster, so that's why I came up with that on my own head. I was just like, that's why I call it AMG. We're actually going to put these magic tabs on Alex, we have plenty. That'll help out with her heals, should she need to run it into that next use. Okay, all good. So this is around the time when you actually want to switch to like better things like prism specs, sunshades, or studs for Ayla. Like you don't need frenzy band as much anymore because you're gonna be running across like a bunch of bosses now. And golems are rather annoying. Now, generally you want a physical attack first, and then switch over. Because you can actually block this damage if you have the appropriate gear equipped. That's why I'm actually going to pass turn and just... Because the last thing you want to do is have physical as the rotation, because the attacks are a lot scarier. Oh, I managed to kill them both at the same time. Nice. Ayla's magic defense is pretty awful though, that's why she just completely bombed to that. Yeah, double poison at the same time hurts a lot. That's the only bad part about killing them at the same time. I'm actually gonna go heal that off. So we're actually running into Lavos 1 here, which means if you have better than elemental males, now's the time to start using them. Don't do it, New. Save yourself. Oh, rip, New. Poor innocent guy. Decided to go into the catacombs to go escape instead. So there's a big old cutscene right here in vanilla, so this is where the majority of your plot is. But in Jets, it's honestly a lot faster. So Lavos 1 has a fixed attack pattern. He's going to bonk you pretty hard. But, good news for you, you have Blaze Kick. And you can just use Frog to heal every turn. Because Frog with actual magic tab investment is actually a really solid healer. Yeah, basically like double cure level of investment. The second attack will be Obstacle, which is your status, whatever this is. This is random in Jets as to what it is, but we have Prism Helms on, so we ignore it. We don't need to heal this turn, so we can actually... Glenn is a better healer than he is a DPS unless he's dual attacking. Even if you have Grand Leon on, Leap Slash doesn't do like over 1500 or something like that. That's pretty low. This is your last chance to save, heal up. There is a glitch you can do in the menus when you're transitioning from the second to the third phase, to where you can actually have access to healing from the menu instead of healing in combat. And thankfully in the more recent versions of this randomizer, you can actually have a better chance of hitting that prompt. Because otherwise the timing is only a few frames and it's really hard to hit natively. Death lasers. Oh, this is 100% going underestimate. But I have other stuff we can do in the meantime while we wait for the next runner, if we need to. Wow, it actually one-shot the arms. Let's go. Because there's only one more fight after this one. There's other things we can do. I have other runs we can run real fast. I've got... we can show the rest of the stuff off we didn't show on this. Like, whatever you guys want to see, I'm up for it. Or if the next runner is ready early, then we can do that too. Completely whatever you guys want. The Leap Slash the second arm off. We actually skipped the fingernail phase, which is really good because that can actually one-shot somebody. We don't have haste here, so we're just gonna go ahead and heal to full and then get ready for the next part. Again, obstacle is useless until we get hit in phase 3 with the thanks windows. Lost my train of thought. Oh, if you get hit with an attack that's going to remove your status protections, which is a single target thing, that is actually something that happens too. Frog is just better off keeping everybody in good mana, so every little bit of damage is going to help, but it's not your primary source of damage at all. So this is also a fixed attack pattern. You're going to eventually get Shadow Slay, and then you're going to get Shadow Doomblaze if you let the fight go on long enough, which is actually going to hit you pretty hard. You want to keep full healed as much as possible, though. Which, hey, Frog's really good for that. Unless, of course, you just blow the boss up like that. Oh yeah, this happened last year too, but not this bad, because I wasn't in go mode as early as I was tonight. This was just kind of hilarious. Like, we were in go mode in 30 minutes. So when the screen fades to black like this is when you can actually go into your menu. Unless the time... Okay, there you go. I found the flag to actually extend the window you can actually access it with, though. Which is good because you get to hear this song as well. Okay, we're good. So final form Lavos, the right pod is the one you want to kill. You need to kill either the left or the middle to do this. If you have single target damage, primarily go for the middle though. If you have non-elemental damage, you can go for the left, but the middle has really strong attacks that you probably want to get rid of anyways. Like Grand Stone, or Grand Dream and Big Death Rock, which is not called that, but it's definitely really painful. Protective Seal is the attack I was talking about, but it hit Lucas, so it doesn't matter. If it hit Frog, I would have been more worried. Oh. Yeah, Healer Frog is really, really good. That's why you actually invest mana tabs into him. The infamous lava screen. If you really want to, you can send, if you have the time, you can kill the left pod, but it's absolutely not necessary. Just focus everything into right pod now. Yep, infamous scree. So you get about 3 to 4 turns before it revives. When it does revive, it will keep the defenses off for a little while longer past that, so don't feel like you have to immediately go to work on the middle pod. $4,200 is spicy. But yeah, left absorbs all elements except for non-elementals. Don't get cheeky with Frog Flare because you'll get countered anyways because the middle pod's gone. Could die in another 1 or 2. Okay, remember the defenses are still down until it says restores defense, so just keep going. But now you can cast Frog Flare. And actually use Ayla to triple kick, which is going to be a bit more damage. Firewall is really nice too. I guess you could Tailspin, because Tailspin and Randomizer works differently. That's a lot more damage than everything else. Yeah, sub 230, nice. Backup run, okay. GG's, yeah. So, how much time are we filling this? $90 minutes, okay. I can do that. So thankfully there is a reduced flashes right here to get rid of the epileptic stuff here. Because there would be a big flash moment right there. 90 minutes. Okay, so that means... Okay, I've got like multiple things. I'll let you guys choose. Let's see, Turtles in Time on SNES. We can do a showcase of Rock and Roll Racing, assuming it doesn't get the VOD muted, and we can also do just random games of like pieces or something else. Completely up to you guys. Yeah, I was surprised this actually went as underestimated as it did. Last year it was underestimated by an hour though. Yeah. I've actually been working on challenge runs for it lately on nights that I've been streaming. So I guess if you guys want Rock and Roll Racing, we can do that. Now I don't know whether we can leave the music on for it, but I remember that was one of the games I was kind of picky about. Different music. If it's safe to potentially go on VOD form on YouTube, we can. If not, it can just be clipped off the VOD, I guess. Or muted or something. But yeah, we didn't find Robo in this seed because Robo was at Zactyl's Nest and we never found Gatekeep. But Robo is named Trash and then Luca is named Fire, so it's Team Dumpster Fire. Which is also a really strong DPS too, but I love memeing on them, so. Yep. I haven't used Team Dumpster Fire in a little while, but it's really, really strong DPS. If there was more than 5-letter limit, I would totally use Dumpster though. I'll just show off the ending here real quick, and that'll give me a chance to take a small rest before we move on to the next game. So yeah, bonus runs now. So this ending sequence is the same regardless, but the ending does change depending on who's in your party. If you haven't found somebody, they're not going to be here, obviously. Yeah, that cat is chilling. Like, Chrono's cat is so, like, mischievous. Very, free-spirited, too. I was really surprised that it has underestimated as it did. Once you take a lap around, victory lap, you can talk to the NPCs if you want. 22 this time. We're just gonna go get our real ending done. Oh, Robo does show up. Neat. There's Trash. Team Dumpster Fire is reunited for the ending. You know, dummy, we go now. So if you don't have Magus in party, he actually wouldn't show up in this cutscene. If I remember right. Because it would be Glenn and True Form at one point. I also saw that they added a bunch of different modes to actually playing the game, similar to how they did with like Final Fantasy Randomizer or Link to the Past, where they have like shard hunts and things like that. I'm like, this is a randomizer that's evolved over the years, and I really appreciate the fact, because I remember the really old versions were very bare bones as to what you could randomize with it. Trash will be there in the near future, so you can burn it all. Hi, Dumpster. I can at least show the ending off, because this is usually the part that gets skipped. Here's Colonel's cat. Hi, kitty. I think even if Mom hadn't jumped in there, we probably would have gone after the cat anyways. That's one of my quotes in channel is Trash, don't turn off your brain yet, because I swapped the names from Dumpster Fire. So she's actually Trash and then Robo is Fire. And I swapped the names. Here's one. Yeah, that's the last official cutscene, but you get a little bit bonus here. And then pretty soon you'll lose control if you're going by late baby timing. But technically the timer would be going a little bit more in actual JP timing. You'd be going to end of credits, but like losing control is another way of stopping the time. And Marley, being as free-spirited as she is, decides to just leave again. And the king is stuck up in the middle of the air. And now you actually lose control right here because the game autoplays. So yeah, it's official GG now. It'd be like 2:30 something if it was that timer. So yeah, you guys can watch the credits for a couple minutes and be back in a short order, and then we'll go ahead and play something else for a little bit. See you guys in like 2 minutes. So yeah, Ted Woolsey worked on this game in translation. Ted Woolsey is most specifically known for a little game known as Final Fantasy VI, which was done a lot differently in terms of how the quality of the translation was. So yeah, that's Chrono Trigger. Yeah, he's definitely a lot better like over time, I feel. But FF6 was pretty mean. that's the end of that. Just checking to see how long. Oh, yeah, about an hour. A little bit over. Yeah, stick around. We're gonna be Spoony Bard. You're correct. It's a legend that will never die. So stick tight. Retrothon. Right back.